Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Wanda, and I have Marcia Wade here. And for some reason, Zoom and Facebook just aren't cooperating this morning. So you're getting this after we've spent 15 minutes of clearing cache and restarting computers and all that good stuff. So sorry about that. Marcia offered to do a Facebook Live this morning to talk about these next couple of months. I had asked her to be a guest speaker for one of the sessions for the quantum mindset, that 6-week virtual group that Peter and I are doing. And my husband came up with a really good line last night. He said, instead of quantum mindset, you should call it quantum fitness. Right? Like the gym, Planet Fitness, well, quantum fitness. So we can either look at these situations as opportunity. We can either go down the rabbit hole, or we can choose to look at them as opportunities. And I just want to tell you a brief story, and then I'm going to turn it over to Marcia. So in my 40s, I married my business partner, who was and probably still is, a narcissist and a bully. And I really didn't then understand narcissism. I didn't understand the emotional bullying. I just didn't get it. And after I read every book I could on the subject, and I vowed, and after I understood that what they want to do is, they feel narcissists and bullies get their sense of self from overpowering people however they can. So they basically, they do what they do to expect us to agree with them, or not even agree, but react. Well, once I learned that, I looked at every opportunity, and there were a lot. I looked at that as an opportunity that I am not going to hit that ball back over the net. I looked at it like a tennis ball coming at me. And the only way that the situation would change, because we had to live in the same house for a while, is that I had to not react. And it was just the greatest thing, really. It made me look at everything like, I know what this is, and I'm not going there. And I vowed I would win. And you know what? Here's how it works. When we quit reacting, the teacher, the lesson is no longer there. And before he moved out, he had quit talking to me just entirely. Because this is how it works. And you guys, I'm reading your messages, I'm scrolling through Facebook. This is what happens with our minds. These situations come up, and our minds are bullies saying, I'll tell you what this means. I'll give you a story. It's hopeless. It's awful. It's never been this bad. There's just no hope for anything. They're bullies. Our minds are bullying us, but these stories are there so that we can, every time that energy crisis comes up, we have to vow to say, I know what this is, and I'm not going to hit that ball over the net, and I am not going to believe the story. We still have to feel what we feel. We have to feel the hopelessness and allow it. But we have to vow. If it comes up 50 times a day, we have to then 50 times a day say, no, I know what this is, and I'm not going to hit that ball back over the net. And when we no longer react and the body relaxes, just like my bully ex-husband, everything changes. And we go through this doorway. It's like a canal system. And it takes us into this entirely different realm of possibilities and options. So when Marcia talked to me about what's coming up in the next couple of months, I thought, well, this is, for people who have not moved through this yet, it's a really good time. for discipline. And I also want to say that I get this. I understand what all of you are going through because I have been there. Most of the people, well, all of the people that I know who are on the other side of this death process and have moved into really realizing and reacting from this place of I am. We started this a few lifetimes ago. I killed myself in one in the last lifetime, at least that I remember. I've killed myself several times because of the depression and the overwhelm was just too great and I couldn't do it. And a good astrologer will, it's in my South Node, a good astrologer will show that to you, what you came in with and how you set up your life this time. So I did all that stuff. And so this time when the bottom dropped out of my life, I just said, well, I can either kill myself or I'm going to have to do it again. I'm just going to have to get through it. And I got through it. And this is why I do what I do with everybody, to help you get through it. Whether you're in the first lifetime of deciding I'm not going to play that duality game anymore, or whether you're in the third or what it is. But there's only one way through it and we can't escape it. We have to look at everything as opportunities. And with that, Marcia, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Wanda. Wow. And that story that you opened with, like everything you say, I'm always thinking, whoa, that's exactly what the astrology of now and really of always is showing us. We're not just, what astrology shows us is we're the universe. It's inside of us. We're connected to all of us, all of it. But it's so easy to think that we're just one little part, that bullying mind that you were talking about. And as soon as we do that, I feel like the reason that so constricts us and traps us is because it cuts us off from everything else that we are. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the things that has kept me so entranced with astrology for most of my life, is that it always pulls me back to see the bigger picture. And even when, from the perspective of any one part of the universe within us, things can seem very bleak, there's always a bigger picture, and that part that experiences the bleakness is never the only part. It's a real part, but never the only part. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for the power of the work you do, because you are addressing in a way that is very rare the possibilities of now. And that's why I wanted to jump in here with you to talk about this, because the timing of your new offering is really mind-blowing to me. So first of all, right now, today, and really we're in this portal through Tuesday, that was well known to our ancient foremothers and forefathers. In the Celtic world, they called it Imbolc, which means the quickening. The word Imbolc really means in the belly. Now, there's something that happens, and the reason I say Imbolc is a portal is because today, February 1st, is the day that most people acknowledge it, celebrate it. But on February 4th, something happens, something astronomical that's very powerful, and that's the energetic root of this time of the quickening. And what it is that on February 4th, our Earth reaches a halfway point, and she's halfway between the Capricorn solstice, the winter solstice for those of us here in the northern hemisphere, summer solstice for those in the southern hemisphere. We're halfway now between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox, the Capricorn solstice and the Aries equinox. Now, why is that such a big deal? because our Earth, the planet on whom we depend for our lives, the planet on which we live, who supports this embodied experience, she's always slowly moving as she orbits our star, the heart of our solar system, who's also a part of each one of us. As she orbits the sun, the Earth is slowly moving back and forth on her axis. She's leaning out to the greater mystery of the galaxy and beyond that holds us. She's tuning in to the frequencies from those greater mysteries. And by the Capricorn solstice, she's leaning out as far as she can. And ends at that point to lean back in. She's bringing something new, something she's never heard before or embodied before. She's bringing it in from the greater mystery, because it's all a great mystery. Our own lives are really a great mystery. But so at the Capricorn solstice, the Earth begins, and it's slow. She slowly begins to lean back in to the heart, the great heart of the solar system. She's bringing this high frequency galactic energy back to the heart. And by the Aries equinox on March 19th or 20th, depending on where you live, she's exactly halfway. She's not leaning into the heart. She's not leaning out to the mystery. She is balanced halfway between the two. And that's a powerful moment that changes everything. And normally we think, oh, that's the beginning of the new. But if we think about our own lives, if we think about the way our own lives began, we know the moment when the seed breaks through, the Aries moment, that's not the beginning. That's a powerful turning point. But the beginning happens as Eudora Welty said. It's one of my favorite sentences in all of literature. The last sentence of her memoir, One Writer's Beginnings, she said, "For all serious daring starts from within." And it's so true. It's true of our own lives and of every moment we truly come alive in this lifetime. So today, the sun, well, actually it'll be Tuesday when it's exact. Our Earth will be halfway between that winter solstice point of leaning out and the Aries equinox point of being in perfect balance. And this day, this point, this portal is the time that our ancient ancestors, who lived in a much closer rapport with the cycles of life and of the cosmos. They didn't have all the distractions and all the illusions of being all powerful that we do. We can make light in the middle of the night. We can know anything that's ever been known with these little things we hold in our hands. So it's easy for us to forget the things that the cosmos is always showing us, because we have so much to focus on. But what the ancients understood was what Eudora Welty said. It all begins within, where we can't see it. And this time, though, is the time that any woman who has ever given birth knows is a mystery in itself. The time of the quickening, the time when you feel this flutter, when suddenly the fact that there is a new life growing within you becomes not just a concept, but a reality, a mind-boggling reality. Now, it's miraculous to carry the new within us. It truly is. It's also, if we use the analogy of what that means at the physical level, it's uncomfortable. It is totally overwhelming. Our bodies are hormonally overwhelmed by the transition. For much of the beginning, we feel sick. for much of the end, we cannot sleep because we are so uncomfortable. It is a miracle, but that the miracle is not, it's not all pixie dust.
The miracle, that it looks like a miracle in hindsight. But as we're going through this, and I didn't have children this time, but I certainly understand how energy works, and I just translate my life through the lens of energy versus what my mind tells me. And
Yes.
it's so, I came in with that just after all these suicides and giving up, right? I came in with that. But this is now the challenge for people as I go through my Facebook feed and read what's happening, is that they give credence, they're looking at the discomfort, they're looking at the loneliness, the impossibility of situations, like they're looking at the pain, and it stops right there. And I think these are those choice points that we have in life to say, wait a minute, who am I really? Everybody's going to have their own way of working with this, but I had to ask myself, wait a minute, who am I? Who am I? Am I the person who's observing this, or am I this body? And even whatever it takes to get us through these choice points is what we have to do, because energy is reliable. This stuff, in hindsight, for those of us who've been through this, we've lost everything, we've died and remembered it, I've been in so many hopeless situations in my life. So I know how it works because I've tested it. We can use these powerful times to focus on the hopelessness, but it's our attention. Whatever we give our attention to is what expands. So we have to feel the hopelessness, feel the loneliness, feel all that, and then allow that feeling to move through our bodies. And then the mental discipline, the quantum discipline, is to say, I know what this means. Not believing what our bully mind tells us, but translating this to what it really means, which is my dream. I'm birthing. If we had parents that taught us this when we were children, we wouldn't experience life the way we do, right? If we grew up believing that money grew on trees, it would. And we'd look at all this pain as, oh my gosh, I must be getting closer to my big, beautiful life, right? I'm just struck by when you wrote me and told me what's happening in these next couple of months before, through the equinox is really what you covered. It's incredible if we look at if we look at it as a birthing process rather than the pain and the hopelessness.
Right. I think one thing that lets us do is focus on what does it need from us? And what do we need to give ourselves so that we can give the energy to the new that it needs to grow and thrive, which I think is the other part of it,
That's huge, because it's always that, right?
Right.
It's always, when we sit in our hopelessness because something isn't happening, then that's telling us what we're longing for. And then we have to look for other ways to give that to ourselves.
Yes, right.
And then so that it puts us in that energetic frequency of whatever it is, feeling loved, feeling abundant. If we find other ways to feel that, then it's a pathway to the great mystery or to the quantum field for other forms of that to come in.
It's so true. It's really true. And sometimes, I love that what Rumi says, what you seek is seeking you. Sometimes it seems like we have to feel how much we need it before we can really receive it.
That's a beautiful point. That's just That's perfect, because that's why we bottom out, right? I believe so anyway. We bottom out because finally we get to feel that deep longing for whatever it is, abundance, a home. Like my friend, who had never let herself have a home, and she finally let herself have a home, and all that means to her. And she won a home, literally. She won a $1.1 million home.
Oh,
Yes, not a house, but a home.
that's amazing. That's beautiful.
So, I see this time as a way for us to get really clear on what it is that we want, and then to want it so badly that we refuse to take less than the fulfillment of that longing.
Wanda, there are three things that are happening between now and the equinox that when I realized that these were the dates of this program you're offering, I was so blown away by your intuitive resonance that I just had to go, Wanda, do you know how perfect your timing is? I'd love to share them with people, because I think just hearing about it can help everybody realize what a rich time this is, and yet not one where we can just sit back and think, oh, it's all going to happen for us. Because often the most powerful opportunities, they challenge us. So is that okay?
Yeah. No, I want you to talk about this because, I believe that we are here. Each of us has a seed of greatness, and life, for those who are ready during these accelerated times, and it will be this way for the next 50 years, this greatness is being called forth in everyone. And it's asking us to step out of our comfort zones. It's asking us to step out of all these ideas of limitations of our old self-identity. And it's asking us to walk it, talk it, be it. And ready or not. So yes, I want you to, let's talk about those three things.
Okay, so one of them, and before, I just have to say how wonderful it is to have with us such a strong, clear voice for the greatness in all of us. I really love that, you, Wanda, so much. So the first thing involves not a planet, but a point, a sky point that's very powerful, a point in the orbit of the moon. And we can think of the moon, the closest body to our Earth, our embodied experience, the only thing in the whole solar system who every month checks in with every single degree in the zodiac, with every single aspect of our lives. Now, the moon carries our deepest intelligence, not the conscious, what we're aware of consciously, which cognitive scientists say is just 4% of everything we know, our total intelligence. The moon goes so much deeper than that. The lunar intelligence is our emotional reality, moment to moment, our cellular intelligence, our intuitive wisdom, our dreaming mind, all of that and more. So the moon carries a huge part of our reality. And at the furthest point from the Earth, from our embodied experience, the furthest point in the moon's orbit is a hiding place. It's been a hiding place for millennia, for all the aspects of the divine feminine, which is an energy pulse as much as anything else. It's in everyone, no matter our gender. All the parts of the divine feminine that our culture of domination, which must dominate life I mean, that's its logos, domination. And we've all been raised in that. We were all entrained as children with those ways, more or less successfully, thank goodness for the power of life and the power of the human spirit. But everything that the culture of domination cannot accept about this divine feminine energy, which is a lot, the creative power, the transformative receptivity, the ability to transform, all of that belongs to the divine feminine, and all of it that the patriarchy could not accept was went to the far edge of our lunar intelligence to hide, to be safe. And that energy is called the Black Moon Lilith. She's the wild, untamed feminine within all of us and among all of us. She's personal to us, and she's more than that too. And she has this amazing quality to her orbit. It takes her 9 months to go all the way, because the moon's orbit is slowly moving. It's the orbit, the space the moon holds is also moving along with the moon. So in 9 months, this wild feminine energy's hiding place has traveled all the way around the zodiac. 9 months to go all the way around. Every degree of the zodiac she spends 9 days in. No, wait a minute, that's not right. It takes her 9 years to go all the way around the zodiac. Spends 9 months in a single sign, and she spends 9 days in every degree. So she is the 9 who brings things to completion, the 9 who carries the piece that completes, that brings us to completion, the 9 that serves life. So she's super vital, and we need her. And now, on the astronomical Immelt Day, February 4th, will be Black Moon Lilith's 9th day in the degree of the zodiac, the very first degree, the degree where everything begins anew. So in each one of us now, Black Moon Lilith in 0 degrees of Aries is beginning a new journey, a new quest. The beautiful thing about the cosmos is everything is cycles and is always spiraling out. So we can never say, okay, we did that already, because we have done it before, but we've never done it like this. Each time we begin a cycle, we're invited to begin it more consciously, with more of our power in our own hearts, with more awareness of the precious gift of life in this cosmos. So we are beginning, and we can begin anew with the wild, untamed feminine, the part of us and of everyone who's never bought into all the baloney, has never fallen for all the crap. There are myths about Lilith throughout the Near and East, and in all of them, they all have different twists, but in all of them, Lilith is the one who looks at the bargain that the culture of domination offers us and says, no, thank you. I don't want this. If I have to go and live in exile for 100,000 years, so be it. I'm out of here. So now we're beginning anew with her. When, at this time of great turning point, everything about the astrology of 2020 tells us we are at a moment that comes only in many, many centuries. So it's always possible for us to wake up, always, but there's never been so much support for us to wake up as now. So another thing that's very rare, the Black Moon Lilith comes to the Aries point, as that potent degree is called, once every 9 years. But this year, a centaur planet, who is just like the mythological centaurs who are half horse and half human, a centaur planet is part comet, part asteroid, kind of a half-breed. And the orbits of these centaurs, they're highly elliptical, and they start inside the orbit of our reality gatekeeper Saturn, and they go way out into the high frequency part of our solar systems and bring that high frequency energy back into our reality. So they're very powerful. And the most powerful of all, Chiron, the great mentor, healer, and teacher of ancient mythology, is also very close to the Aries point now. First time in 50 years, Chiron has been in Aries to invite us to begin anew in our relationship with the magic of the mystery that made us, the magic that lies beyond anything we've ever manifested yet. So right now, Chiron, and through right up until the equinox, Chiron and Black Moon Lilith are traveling together. They are initiating each other. Chiron is initiating Lilith into the possibilities of bringing more of her energy into our embodied reality. And Lilith is initiating Chiron into all the mysteries of the wild feminine, whose body and mind have never been split. So this is a super potent time, but we know, looking at who these two are, there's a lot of rage that will come up. You know, Lilith has been kept out. She has been kept at the margins for millennia. So as she returns, as Chiron is there to show her that her wounds are, and her pain and her rage are gateways, how is that happening? It's happening through you. It's happening through me. So it's a very rich time, and also one when I think having support, and being seen and witnessed and heard, and being able to witness and hear the Lilith experiences of others as well as of ourselves can be game-changing. This,
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to say, I was just, can I ask a question? Because I'm not an astrologer. I don't even know enough to be dangerous about astrology, which is why you're my friend. So I see that. So would you say that that's probably why people might be experiencing situations where they're just saying, no, no, I've had it with this, right? And that's really kind of this energy of that we can get stuck in, and we can keep going back to that. No, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of putting in all the work. I'm tired of not seeing anything change. I'm tired of, right? That's just kind of, it's a loop. But it can be a loop, I believe, until we look at that and go, well, I know what I don't want. What do I want? And then to take that rage and to turn that into creative fuel, right? Is that what you?
Totally, absolutely.
Good. Okay.
So then meanwhile, there is another planet, another one of our solar system's goddesses named Ceres. She's as old as the sun. And she's a dwarf planet who carries the codes of the mother goddess, of that energy that nurtures us, of the energy that nurtures, gestates, births, nurtures, all of those energies, which, as you said so beautifully, Wanda, we don't have to literally give birth. This is a basic life process. So, there's so many ways of birthing and gestating. I only use the physical way because it's so clear. but it's just one way. I mean, it's a fundamental life process. So Ceres is very powerful. And in January, at the historic, epical conjunction of Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, sign of reality structures, there were two other planets present at that conjunction in the same degree. One was the Sun, giving star power to this conjunction. We are all carrying within us now a powerful seed of transformative, the ability, a seed that wants to create transformative structures, transformative reality structures. So the Sun was part of it, and so was Ceres. We can really see that what has stepped up in a new way is the divine feminine, this energy of mothering, of gestating, of receiving, of birthing and nurturing. You know, that energy that sustains life has been empowered. We can even say is the new reality that's still in seed form in all of us. Ceres yesterday entered the sign of Aquarius, the most visionary, future-oriented sign of the zodiac. She's right now still in 0 degrees of Aquarius, where on the winter solstice of 2020, our reality gatekeeper Saturn will conjoin our blessing giver Jupiter in 0 Aquarius, their first conjunction in an air sign in over 600 years. And these conjunctions, the ancients called the great conjunctions, they create seeds that allow us to create new structures to sustain blessing and abundance. So they're very powerful. So Ceres, the mother goddess, is in that degree right now. She's already beginning now, as we're speaking, she's already nurturing within us all, wherever that degree is in our own birth charts. She's there nurturing a more visionary future, a more visionary way to sustain ourselves. And what I know about you and me, Wanda, is that degree is very close to the degree that shows why we're here on the planet. And I think that's another reason we're talking today, because this is, like everyone I'm sure who's listening to us, can show up in different ways in all our birth charts, but that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
And this is the time.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was going to add that certainly the people that I work with across the globe and that are coming to these programs and with whom I work on one-on-one, they are the leaders for the new paradigm. They're the visionaries. You know, I've always known that it would be my job to, you know, this is my last time here. And so I've always known it's been my job to help them, to just assure them that this energetic this process that we're going through is what we're moving from believing our minds to believing this vision that's in us. You know, my guides call it some people call it the soul template. I call it the Eden blueprint, but it is this blueprint that is free of all of the stuff we believed in duality. And it's this flame. You could call it an eternal flame that that is burning in us. And we have to focus more on that flame than we do in the stories. So I know for anybody listening to this, because this is my consistent message, it comes through in one-on-ones. You're here for a reason, and you may not understand it right now, and you may not be clear about it yet, but this is what we're heading into during this next 50 years or 30 years of acceleration, where the clarity will come. And because the masses are just starting to wake up, and they will go through what we all went, what took us a much longer time to go through. So yeah, I would expect that everybody's chart in here, because that's why I love astrologies. Our charts tell us so much about ourselves before we know that, or before we get it, before we get there on our own.
Yeah. And affirm in those times when we can think, well, am I really on course? You know, I mean, I feel like the charts never really tell us anything that we don't already know, and yet sometimes the affirmation of that can really be pivotal, you know.
Oh, I believe it's everything, because during those times when the bottom is dropping out of our lives and we're being required to walk on a tightrope with no net below, or at least that's what it feels like, with no hope, no nothing, then, you know, that's why we need tools. That's why in our group that Peter and I are doing, we offer tools. For those of us who've been through it, it's like learning to walk. We fall down a few times, and then we understand how it works. And no matter what happens, no matter what surface we walk on, we're confident that we can walk. So for any of us that have been through this is really, that's what I try to offer, is you can trust yourself. Trust in this vision that you may not feel yet, but know that there is one. And this is just all part of the deal. Life isn't over, right? We all get through it. I know we started late. It's 3 minutes till the hour, and do you have to go? Is there anything else that you
One more thing that's happening in February that's really powerful that I wanted to just drop in for everybody. People may be in, just in case they're not aware, that on February 17th, Mercury is beginning his first retrograde of 2017. And retrogrades are times when from the Earth, a planet appears to be going backwards. That's an illusion created by where we are in our orbit relative to the other planet, but it creates an opportunity. It affects the way we process the energy that we share with that planet. And it creates an opportunity for a space for us to let go of some old ways, in Mercury's case, of seeing things, in order to find, and this retrograde will be in Pisces, so it's all about letting go of old ways of seeing things that aren't mystical enough, that aren't magical enough, that aren't quite as mystical as we really need to be right now, not quite as infinitely creative as we're being invited to be right now. So it is prime time for anything that we do that helps us recognize and release old ways of seeing and nurture new ones that are more inspired and inspiring. And if that's not what you're going to be doing, Wanda, I don't know what is.
That is exactly what we're doing. And life is really magical. We don't always get what we think we want, but what we get is ultimately so much more freeing, so much more expansive, and so much more fulfilling. And that, to me, is having a magical life. And as long as we walk through this valley of death that so many people are walking through there right now, right? We're walking, we have to walk through that. And in every moment, look at just what you talked about. Look at belief systems. Look at what our mind is telling us and saying, nope, not going to go there.
And aren't the very tools that you were just talking about?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Marcia? And then I'll let you go and we'll wrap up.
No, but it's always wonderful to connect with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so excited that you've offered to present on one of our quantum mindset groups. We'll zero in. Marcia won't be doing charts, obviously, for free in the group, but she'll be zeroing in on some of the energies at play, the general energies at play that are affecting us.
And
It's
they'll offer people in your group a discount for a reading if they want one.
fabulous, fabulous. I just can't recommend you enough, because while we're coming out of the hypnosis of the mind, because it's really what it is, our minds have hypnotized us to believe their stories. So when we're coming out of that, it's so good to fortify us with another story, with another dream to look at, until we break through the coma, right? And you are just one of the best astrologers that I know at reading asteroids and the things that impact us. And also the gift of what you do is the translation of everything is happening for you. And oh my gosh, look at what's happening for you. There's this and this and this and this. And that's not even the big deal, because it's all leading up to this. So that is your absolute gift. Thank you so much, Marcia. Thank you.
Thank you, Wanda.
And thanks everybody for listening. I'll post Marcia's information on the link, and then, and thanks for listening. Bye.